Hello again. This is Brother Simeon Gallagher, and thank you for joining us for a simple word. This is being done in anticipation of this coming Sunday, which is, interestingly enough, the Feast of the Transfiguration. This is a kind of odd, if I could put it that way, if maybe not odd, but mysterious feast, because Jesus, as we will listen in the Gospel, takes Peter, James, and John up onto a mountain and is changed, transfigured, altered in his appearance, his clothing. Beside him, one of the prophets appears and Moses appears, representing the prophetic tradition and the legal tradition. And the three of them are having a conversation, and they're surrounded by a light that is so brilliant, so bright, that the three apostles throw themselves on the ground and cover their eyes for fear of being blinded by so much beauty. And then when they look up, Jesus' clothing is back to its natural coloring. The two characters are gone, and Jesus says to them, "It's time for us to come off the mountain, and don't tell anyone what happened here until the Son of Man has risen from the dead," which of course is an indication of his suffering and his death. And maybe as I approach the text and do a little bit of praying and thinking about it, I think that what's being offered to us is a way of living life in a balanced fashion. That is to say, we have moments of ecstatic beauty, and they come to us in love and in relationships, in those moments in our lives when things feel like they're coming together and there's a wholeness. And we're so happy when those kinds of experiences occur, and they do transform us. They transfigure us with beauty and light and insight. But then we also have moments where there's darkness and consternation and confusion and pain and struggle. That's what Jesus is saying as they come down the mountain on the way to Jerusalem. You're going to see me transfigured in a totally different fashion. You've seen me transfigured in beauty and light on the mountain. You're going to see me transfigured in Jerusalem, in struggle and pain and death. It's almost in his kindness he's saying to these three apostles, and by extension to me and to you, I'm giving you moments of beauty. I'm giving you moments of love and light so that you will remember these when the moments of darkness and struggle and pain come to you. And without trying to sound like I'm creating a bumper sticker for the church parking lot, it is true to say that suffering is a given and misery is an option, because we bring a lot of the misery that we go through onto ourselves, certainly because we don't pay attention to the Holy Spirit, who's given to us for wisdom and insight and knowledge. But we have these moments of ecstasy and moments of agony, and both of these create a balanced kind of life if we enter into them, particularly the moments of darkness and struggle. And unfortunately, many of us want to stay on the mountain and only want to have moments of ecstatic joy. We don't want to go to Jerusalem and be transfigured in struggle and pain. But it comes, whether we want it or not, it comes. And it's so important, and I know that you will agree with me, it is so important that when the suffering comes, we have learned how to raise the right question. Unfortunately, many people have not learned how to raise the right question, so when struggle and difficulty and pain come, they rage and rage against God, shouting, "Why are you doing this to me?" It's a circular question, which means you never get out of it. You go round and round and round inside of that question, and the only result is a lot of rage and deepening anger and disenchantment. Lots of times people will leave the church, not participate in the sacramental life of the church, They think that God is punishing them when struggle and difficulty come. And so that circular question, unfortunately, is the question that way too many people raise. When suffering comes, this form of transfiguration, it's important that we raise the right question, and the right question is, what am I supposed to learn from this experience? What is this suffering teaching me? Because the fact of the matter is, and you've probably met and encountered people like this as well as I have, when people are suffering and struggling, there's a kind of wisdom that comes to them. They see things in the proper perspective. There is a kind of purification that happens, and their lives become uncluttered. They have no agendas because the struggle and the pain is so hard and so difficult. And when that comes, the right question is, what am I supposed to learn? And that is not circular, it's linear. That's the question that takes us, so to speak, across the parade ground and under the fence and beyond the meadow to freedom. Freedom from those things that hamper us from being realistic, those things that clutter our lives, those obsessions and compulsions that so often develop in us. Suddenly, all of that is made shockingly real, and we recognize that that is not taking us anywhere. What am I supposed to learn from the Transfiguration of Jerusalem is a terribly important question, and moves us from only wanting ecstatic mountaintop experiences of Transfiguration. We're being offered, it seems to me, in this Feast of the Transfiguration, a balanced view toward life, that there's going to be joy, and we're grateful, and there's going to be suffering, and we have to deal with it. And we don't deal with it by rejecting it and blaming it on someone else. We enter into it and remember that Jesus himself chose suffering as the vehicle of our redemption. And so we have to enter into it, be open to it, and be transfigured by it. So that's what's on the horizon in this coming weekend with the readings and the Feast of the Transfiguration. I pray for you and for myself that we are always appreciative of the many, many experiences of light and love, these experiences that sometimes blind us, but they're transfiguring experiences, and that when the Transfiguration of Jerusalem comes, that we also are not afraid of that and run away from that and blame that on everybody else, but we embrace it, learn from it, grow deeper as a result of it, and even holier as a consequence of it. So thank you very much for joining us again, and I'll look forward when the next time around to seeing you. God bless you. We're praying for you, so we hope you're praying for us.